Hello my good friends, Roger once again, Mudfossil University with some stunning revelations. Lily Lavender sent me this picture and I said, wow, very interesting. Now I know that this is mudfossil tissue and this is a anchor that is inside the mudfossil tissue. When I say an anchor, I mean an anchor that has biological holding power so that the tissue can come back and forth, and there's straps that come out and they attach right like this. And this one here is absolutely perfect to demonstrate what I am about to show you. Now, notice this line, and because it's in the matrix of this, it has the same look. You might be a little darker and a little lighter up here, but normally they invest into a certain distance in the red tissue, and then it goes into some other types of tissues. And I'm going to show you how they do hold up in the body, a different type of tendon material, but the same type of strap here and ball. Alright, let's take a look at that. Alright, this is a microscopic shot of a tendon ball like I was just showing you. The anchor has been pulled out from the holding point that it was in. This is an injury. Now that's the strap, and it comes up through a little loop in the tissue here. You see how they come through the tissue? And then they go down to these balls straight across. And then that holds it. Now this tissue can be pulled back and forth by a muscle. Now, that is the kind of ball we're looking at. That little stripe that went across is basically how the depth that it invests. And I'm going to show you one that'll be a little bigger than the other big one that you saw. Alright, here's one that's a little bigger. Now, this is where it invests into the mat, and that's why it has that ridge on it. Now, that's the strap like we just saw in the living one. Now that's pretty big considering ours are microscopic. Now let me show you what I originally wanted to show you and why the stripe and the depth of the implant of the ball is so critical to understand. Alright, this is the biology, the anatomy. That's the tendinous ball that we were looking at. And there's a very distinct circular pattern where the tendon attaches, different chemistry, and they break right off of that little spot. These stone balls are everywhere around the earth. I mean, there is millions and millions of them. They're very large, and some of them end up in these orientations, and like the big one that I showed with the arch and so forth. They have different colors because the color of the blood is different. So we're talking about a light side and a darker side, cut right in half by this. Now this one is not in that orientation because it's here like this. If it was sideways, it might have taken on two different sideways colors, but there is a bump on the bottom, usually one or two, and I think Iapetus has the two of them, and then there's the colors, and then there's the band around it, and that is a tendon ball. And they break, of course, right here. If this was knocked over, there'd be a little spot there and a little spot there. Alright, this is Saturn's Moon Iapetus. And there's these indentations. I don't know if those were what we saw holding the thing up before, but it has this ridge. Now let's take a look at that. Alright, this is the equator, they're calling it, the equatorial ridge. It goes completely around. And it has the exact same architecture as the tendon balls that I've been showing. This is in space. I have found that everything in space is alive or was alive, and everything that's falling on Earth was alive. All the meteorites have veins and arteries in them. I'll show you that right now. Alright, I did this on my Facebook page today. Meteors are meatier than you think. When astronauts return from their spacewalks and remove their helmets, they're welcomed back with a peculiar smell, an odor that is distinct and weird. Something astronauts have described it like seared steak, and also hot metal, and also welding fumes. There is no oxygen in space to speak of, so the combustion is not complete. They are considered harmful cooking gases by the CDC, actually. They're polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Now, comets are also misunderstood. Same thing. Look at this. That's a meteorite that came through. That is a lung, and the reason it's iron now, you can see some oxides of red blood in there still, and you'll be able to get actually DNA out of this. That was smelted from the heat of reentry, and it turned into iron. Exactly what would happen in a blast furnace. This is the chemistry that is in whoops, let me get over here. Hold on, let me go back to that other one. You might not have seen it. This is the iron asteroid that I just talked about, and it smelts on Earth entry, and I'll show you another one that has the veins and arteries that are very obvious. This is the chemistry from the Rosetta mission, Comet 67P. Followed it from way before they landed until they destroyed the craft. This is the chemistry of life. CH, that's hydrocarbons. That's hydrocarbons. That is fossil fuels. That comes from methane. That comes from bilipid layers in cells. They're completely made of hydrocarbons. That is what ends up. All the organic materials they call volatile organic compounds go away, and you end up with the carbon left over, and that is what the hydrocarbons left over, and that is what you burn in the cars, and that is what's being emitted from that. And then the rest of it is silicon, sodium, carbon, iron. It's a human being. This is what it is. It's a tendon enthesis. These things shooting up, those are blood vessels. They're cooking in the sun and shooting out of the blood vessels just like squirting out of a squirt gun. And I'll show you that a little closer. This, they say, is the oldest material in the solar system. That's a mud fossil. Anybody who knows mud fossils knows that. This is the iron meteorite that shows the red blood and the black blood. I believe that's a heart, more than likely. The reason it has all these crystal-looking things is they slice it and then they etch it with a little bit of acid, and it shows up the crystalline structure of cooling down after it's smelted coming through the atmosphere. Vein, artery. What do we got next? All right, that's showing the blood vessels in things. This is another. That's another thing coming out of space. That's everything I found coming out of space. 100% was organic. This is up on 67P, and these balls, they call them dragon balls. Well, those are not dragon balls, those are blood vessels, and those blood vessels are oozing out blood, and when the sun hits it on the right attitude, it shoots out of there like a rocket ship. That's the comas. This is the size of this thing on top of Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the tendon enthesis. This is where it comes up and starts to meet the bone and the meat that would come away from it. This is a Achilles tendon. I'm almost 2,000% sure. And there it is in space, and these are the anchors. See it? Let's put the teeth. That's what held it into wherever it pulled out of, and that ran up to where that thing. You got your foot coming out or whatever it was there. And this is some more of the chemistry and so forth of the particles coming off of these two things. Now, see, there's a jet coming out. The sun, when the sun hits it just exactly the right way into that tube, it cooks it just like it was cooking it. Sun is very, very hot in the atmosphere of space. Now we're back to this. Now, so I think I've made my case. Mudfossil University, come up, get educated for free. That means no charge. Ooh, we got a new one up there. Glacial Truth fading away fast. 25 minutes. Get it while it's, well, hot or cold, whichever you believe in glaciers. Okay, anyway, Mudfossil University. We're moving on up. 32762. All right. I will see you shortly.